Hey everyone, in this video I'm really excited to show you the new solar power system that we installed in our new camper van conversion. We love it because it was super easy to install, plug and play. It's lightweight, it takes almost no space in the van. It powers our 12-volt fridge, our roof vent, our LED lighting. We can also charge our laptops, camera batteries, and everything else we need. In our old camper van, we put together a solar power system ourselves. We did a ton of research and we ordered all the separate parts online. We ordered fuses, cables, inverter, charge controller, the panels, the battery, and that system worked great, but it took a bit more space in the van, and the AGM battery was also extremely heavy. It was almost 100 pounds. So this time around we decided to go for a much simpler option, and we're super happy with the results. So now in this van we have two rigid 100-watt solar panels on the roof and one small box which is an all-in-one solar power generator. So a little bit of a disclaimer here, we paid for every single part of our van conversion ourselves, except for our solar power system. Last year the company iEnergy reached out to us and they offered to send us this Kodiak power generator. We were pretty hesitant. We rarely take free products from companies, but in this case we thought it could be really interesting. So we told them, all right, send it to us. We're gonna try it out, and if we think it's not good, we're gonna send it back, and if we like it, we'll do a video about it. So as you can see, we still have it in the van, so we definitely really like it. There are still some pros and cons to a system like this, and that's what we're gonna share with you in this video. So we installed two rigid 100-watt solar panels on the roof. We're using a Ford Transit and it has some pre-drilled holes on the roof already. And to save money, we built our own roof rack to hold the solar panels securely. So we cut up a aluminum bar and fastened it together. And then we ran the one cable through the roof and into the van. To waterproof the wire entry, I spent a lot of time at the hardware store finding a small plastic cap that I could split in half, run the wire through, glue back together, and glue that onto the roof and then seal it. And all that was because I didn't want to cut the end of the cable that was provided by iEnergy, and it's quite a big connector, so I had to find a way to fill in that space and make sure it was watertight. And then once the wire was in the van, all we had to do is literally just plug it into the side of the Kodiak and our system is ready to use, so really simple. Another thing we really like about this system is that if we get a long stretch of gray days and we're not getting enough power from the solar panels, we can unplug the solar panels from the side of the Kodiak and then plug in a different cable that plugs directly into the 12-volt socket of the van, and then we can charge it while we drive. So this is the Kodiak. Like I said, it's only 20 pounds, so it's really light. Everything is in here, so charge controller, inverter, and the battery. This thing has a 90 amp hour lithium battery, which is pretty much the reason why it's so light. In our old camper van, we had a AGM sealed battery, and it weighed almost 100 pounds, just the battery alone. And we were only able to discharge it to about 50%. If you discharge it more than that, you're causing damage to the battery. And what's nice about lithium is that you can discharge it almost completely, maybe 80 or 90% without any damage. For the inverter, it has a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter, and it's great because we're able to run pretty much anything we need. We used it this summer to run all sorts of power tools, and we're also able to run a blender or electric kettle, so it's really versatile. So what we really like about the Kodiak is all the outlets. Our other system was much more simple. We only had two AC 110s and two USB ports, and here we have 6 110 sockets. We have 4 USB ports, 2 12-volt car sockets, 2 5.5 by 2.5 connectors, and then 1 RV plug. So the way we're using the system is that we have our 12-volt fridge plugged into this 12-volt socket. Then we have our roof vent plugged into this other 12-volt socket. And then our lights are plugged into these connectors. So what's nice about the Kodiak is that these connectors, these two 12-volt ports, and the 5.5 by 2.5 are always live. So the unit doesn't have to be on for those ones to be on. which is really nice because if the inverter's on, it's drawing power continuously and it's just using up more power. And this way we can run our fridge, our lights, and our roof vent, and it's super efficient and it's using almost no energy. After that, whatever we plug in here tends to rotate, but we charge camera batteries here, our AA batteries, some USB devices. Yeah, there's plenty of room here for everything we need. But if we do want to use these other sockets, so the 110s and the USB ports and the RV port, the unit has to be turned on like this. Now that we've been in the van for a little bit, we're finding that we generally have plenty of power to power the stuff that we need. Like I said before, we only put 2 100-watt solar panels on the roof. We didn't have the space for a third one, but the system would probably be a little bit more efficient with a third 100-watt solar panel. In terms of price, if you compare the Kodiak to a system where you buy all the components separately and put them together, it is definitely a little bit more expensive. But if you compare lithium to lithium, if you were to put together a system that uses lithium batteries, they are quite expensive to buy individually, so it's very comparable. And I guess the small premium in price that you pay for the Kodiak is for just the ease of use and the portability of the whole system. Another thing that's really interesting is that you can actually plug up to 3 more AGM batteries here on the side to increase the overall battery storage capacity of the system. An important thing to mention is that Inergy uses the Nutric connectors. So if you already had your own solar panels, you could get an adapter which goes from Nutric to the more standard MC4 connector that you find on most solar panels. So overall, we really love this unit. We love the plug and play, there's portability and then simplicity of use. But there are some things that might be considered limitations depending on the application. For example, we're using this in more of an RV situation. Almost everything that's in here runs off 12 volts, so it would have been nice to have a few more 12 volt sockets that are always live, in which we can always have stuff plugged in even though the unit is off. Second challenge is that to power the lights, we actually had to do quite a bit of research to find some lights that we could plug into these connectors. Inergy sells some lights, some base camp lights, but we wanted something that would make this feel a bit more like a home with a dimmer. So we had to get a special extension cord and an adapter. And just so you know, Inergy didn't recommend that we do this, but we did it anyway, and we've been using it like this for a while, and we've had no problem. Another thing is that in a standard system that you put together yourself, you can plug in a fuse box, a 12 volt fuse box, in which you can plug in a bunch of different items, and that way you can really expand your system. And so if you want to plug a larger amount of 12 volt items, you're going to need a fuse box, and you can't do that with this. You're limited to the ports that are here. Another thing to note is that when the unit is on, so if you want to use the other ports, there is a fan that turns on and it's continuously running as long as the unit is on, and it does add some noise to your living space. And we have noticed that it's not a huge deal, but it does make some noise. I'm assuming that other bigger inverters would also have a fan running, but it's just something we noticed and wanted to mention. Overall, it's a great system despite the limitations. We've been really happy with it. If you've been thinking of getting something like this, Inergy right now is offering a 20% discount to our viewers, which is actually a pretty good discount for something like this. So to get the discount, if you're interested, you can use this code when you check out. If you're looking at setting up a solar power system for a camper van, an RV, or a tiny house, we wish you all the best. See you in the next video.